So Santoshi, you can start.
Thank you,
Santoshi, you can
Prashant sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Prashant sir, for giving this opportunity to introduce Aparna Banerjee. I feel really honored to introduce Aparna Banerjee. Aparna is presently working as an assistant professor in University of Chai, and she is a PI of the project Bacterial Exopolysaccharides as Antioxidant and Emulsifying Agent. And she has done her PhD in the University of Calcutta under the guidance of Rajiv Bandyopadhyay sir. And she is a very good researcher, having a number of very good publications, and she has very good interest in microbiology of extremophiles, so polysaccharides, and also biotechnological applications. And she's also working in bioinformatic analysis. And as I see in BioClues, she is very hardworking and dedicated, and she works as a joint secretary in BioClues organization. So she's a very dedicated person in her work. So thank you, Parna. I feel very honored, introducing you. Thank you.
May I start?
Yes, Aparna, please go on.
Okay. Thank you, Santosh, for the nice introduction. Just a small correction. I'm basically PhD from Bardhaman University. That's also very near to Kolkata. It's probably just 1 hour from Kolkata. And in West Bengal, we are basically, we all feel that we are from Kolkata. So it doesn't matter. It's them. So I will just...
Thank you.
Actually, I had a question. Aparna, I had a question. Is it called Burutwan or Paratwan? So what's the name actually? How is it pronounced?
Actually, in Bengali, we call it differently. It's Bardhaman.
Okay, yeah.
But when it goes to, yes, but when it goes to other language, it suddenly changes. In English, we call it Bardhaman, but changes person to person. But the correct pronunciation is Bardhaman. I'm going to the presentation mode. So I don't have a presentation mode showing here. So if someone is control, if can.
You have to share your screen and then should be getting you.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yes, you can put it also in the presentation mode. Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay,
hello and good evening to all the participants from India and others from different countries from Asia, and a good morning actually from all of us. It's 7:30 a.m. in South America, Chile. So it's a morning for us. And let's start my morning and your evening on the basics of bacterial bioinformatics. What I will focus on bacteria surviving in different extreme environments and why we need to study them, focusing on that. So I'm Aparna Banerjee, and presently I am working as assistant professor in Universidad Católica del Maule. It's in Spanish. If we translate it, it will be something like Catholic University of Maule in Chile. And I'm also presently the joint secretary of BioClues. So today, in the basics of bacterial bioinformatics, I will start focusing on different extreme environment, as I have told. The different extreme environments can be hot springs, can be polar environment like Antarctica, or like as we call Himalaya as the third pole, mud volcano, salt flats, hydrothermal vents. So these different extreme environments or ecosystems, as we see in India also, we see many of them. Like if some of you are from Maharashtra, you might be known of Lonar Lake, which is in Maharashtra and is a salt flat, or maybe Kutch in Gujarat is a salt flat. Hot springs are throughout there in different regions of India. Mud volcano is there in Baratang, for example. Hydrothermal vents are deep down to the sea. So many of the extreme environments we are habituated to see in India, or there is in different countries. And so why we need to study bacterial bioinformatics in this context? Because in 2021, there is climate change is a prevalent factor, there is risk of extinction, and there comes the solution of microbial conservation. As on 2020 by WMO, World Meteorological Organization, it has been one of the 3 warmest year in the report. So despite of the La Nina effect that was there, the cooling effect, but still it has been the one of the 3 warmest year throughout the history. And also amidst of COVID-19 pandemic, when we all have been closed and we thought that basically the pollution is much low, but in reality it has been one of the 3 warmest year of the history. And the indicators of climate change depends on many factors like greenhouse gas concentration, increasing of land and ocean temperature, sea level rise, melting of glacier ice, extreme weathers, and all these basically leads to species extinction. As we know about keystone species, we lost them. And throughout the history of evolution, this happens in different times. And in case of plants or animals, the conservation strategy is different. But in case of microorganism, when we talk about conservation biology, we basically talk more about, we focus more about plants or animals, and we focus less on microorganism because probably they are very little to see. That can be one of the reason. So it's in this emergent climate change impact, we need to focus on microbiome conservation before it's too late. That's one factor why we need to study bacterial bioinformatics. And then another factor comes when we conserve them, when we have the big source or big microbial source, and we didn't really know them, there comes the industrial importance, because microbes we regularly use in different industry, for say food industry, pharmaceutical industry, wastewater treatment. So, and let's take one case study here that we will discuss today: enzymes, microbial enzymes. They are highly used for their proficiency in different biocatalysis process in the industry. So for back, the first thing that comes for both this aspect to cover comes bacterial identification and phylogeny. As we know, it can be a uncultivable microorganism, unculturable microorganism, or culturable microorganism. If we have done the sequencing, we have to do the identification, and then when we have the sequence, we can do the identification by EZ taxon. And then we can go by NCBI BLAST, or we can submit our sequence to NCBI. We will get one accession number. And when we have a data set of all the corresponding hits of this particular bacterial sequence that we have, we can make a respective tree in Mega. We can use different softwares, but here I will show Mega because it's a user-friendly software and it's not so difficult to use. So that's one part that we will do today in the hands-on. The second, basically all of you who are doing probably can download the 2 papers. All the things that I will talk today, the material methods are well explained in the paper with all the links, so there will be no problem. I have actually not mentioned MOV, but I thought to include this name here because in whole genome, if we are doing multiple genome alignment, MOV will really help. And this doesn't need any command line or something. It will just very user friendly. So I'm telling all the tools that is very user friendly and very basics in bioinformatics. So when we have a whole genome of bacteria, we have to do the annotation of them when we have the assembly. Or for example, if we are doing a practical, we are downloading one genome sequence from NCBI, one whole genome sequence. We know the bacteria. So what we need to do, we have to look into the genome. If we look into the genome, we can have a broader idea what is the genome characteristics, or what can be the possible application, or what characteristics they have inside the genome. So we can go into Rust. We can create an account in Rust. The creating of Rust account needs basically 1 day validation. So if you create an account, then probably it will be validated in 1 day. You have to upload the genome. Depending upon the queue, it takes 1 to 2 days. Nothing to worry. I will show how it is. You don't need to do anything. Just have to wait until the time it will show some green bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it will be full till 7. When all the green bars are full, I will show later. Then we can just go into clicking, and then everything we can see all the seed viewers going into that, the subsystem classifications and detailed I will show. And when we have a genome, so depending upon the significance of the genome, we can look into different properties. One of the very important property of a bacteria is FAST, prophage sequence, the phage sequences, because it's evolutionary significant. So we can do the prophage analysis using one online tool, FASTER. FASTER doesn't need any login or something. We can just do it. What we need to do, probably have to download all the copies, because we cannot go back as it will not give you any link. So probably we have to download all the copies. Then Dr. Anshu will actually give a broader horizon into antimicrobial resistance. So I will not go into that detail of a bacteria. But when we can do pangenomics using different tools. But if we want to focus in a web-based tool, SpineAgent Clastage, this of Northwestern University, SpineAgent, it's a very good tool. We can do up to 15 genome. We can take in consideration 15 bacterial genomes. So probably you can have one of your interest and 14 data set, or 5 of your interest, 10 data set. Whatever, we can have a total of 15 in the consideration in this case. The only news is when yesterday I was doing it, Clastage was not working and it was showing some error, but let's see if it happens or not. But well, I have all the examples downloaded, so I will show how it looks. And this is also very simple. It doesn't take much time. Then last, if we want to create a heat map of the total data set that we have, we can use OATS. Actually, for creating heat map, we can use different tools to understand the average nucleotide identity and making a heat map. OATS basically allow us to work with 10 total genome of bacteria, and then we can go into this. This takes probably 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours time. So you just have to click it and then rest. After 10 hours, probably it will show one matrix and also a heat map. So when we take 10, obviously the multiplication becomes more. But if we take 2 or 3, so it will be probably done in an hour. But I will show how it looks. And then we will discuss about, as we were talking about, some of the factors of industrial importance of bacterial enzymes. So this is a paper that you can probably, there are a lot of paper like this on bacterial enzyme structural and functional classifications. But here, whatever tool I am talking today are well explained. So you can just probably go to all the links to search. But I will also show some extra links, which is already given there in the manual too. All the tools names are there, so we can just click on the names and do the respective things. So I'm going out of the presentation mode and I will start one by one. Is this screen visible?
Yes. I mean, right now your Zoom screen is visible. Is that what
Yes,
you
yes.
want?
Okay, yeah. Okay. So for example, if you have one sequence downloaded, any bacterial sequence that you have downloaded, and you don't know the identity of the bacterial sequence yet, you have the bacterial sequencing done and you have the 16S sequence with you. So we can go to EZTaxon, this, to search the identification of bacteria or archaea. We can go into 16S based identification. There are a lot of options here. There is also a COVID-19 place, so we can play with EZTaxon. There are a lot of options. Because I had a login, so it's showing like that. EZTaxon has a very good thing. If you just log in using your Gmail or anything, it will be forever saved. All the sequence that you will play with, it will show there. So here comes. I have done for a long time a lot of sequencing, and then it's all saved over there. But if you want to upload a new one, so you will go into identify new sequence. Then you put here any sequence that you want. For example, let me put example 1. And I can just copy and paste. One example. It's gone. Right. Right. So we can go to identify new sequence. We will put the name of the example and we will then put the 16S rRNA sequence that we have and go into next. It will show you the size of the base pairs too. Will take some time. Well, so it's showing that it's a Bacillus paralicheniformis and similarity is 99.93% and showing the top hit strain also. If we just go into this zoom button, we can basically select and delete the old jobs too. If it's too heavy and we have a lot of unused, so we can just go and delete. So it's showing how much is the complete, and it's also showing what are the hits that we get. So we want to prepare a phylogenetic tree, and here you don't need to prepare the data set. You just go into FASTA. The entire FASTA formats is downloaded here. Now I will just show how to make the, if you download this FASTA file, so, yes, how to show the FASTA file. Let's go into the presentation mode. So one file like this is downloaded, query of example 1, and look all the different bacteria after
blank.
that is showing.
Aparna, it's blank right now. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, okay. So this is how the page that we downloaded looks. Now probably we all know that for hit against bacteria, we normally take 97% similarity. So look in the down, it's showing the similarity goes much below. For example, here it's 95.96, 95.96, 96.02. So probably we can just delete the sequence till 97. For example, here we can delete a good number of probably 10 sequences, 96.47, 96.78, 8391, 97. So this is till 97. So below 97, probably we can delete all the sequences. And now if we make the mega tree using this file, it will not look good. So probably we can, because it will look very big and will look unorganized. So we can delete all these extra names. And finally, I will show you how the file should look. I am just going out from here and I have already one saved file. I am showing you the saved file, how it's looking. I hope it's looking, or maybe it will take a minute.
Not, yeah.
So this is how I have saved. I have kept the space so that it will look good in the Mega 7. And then, so this is a type of file that you can make. It's just very easy. Just do the manual thing to make the file clean. And when we have the file clean, we have to open a software called Mega. I'm going into Mega now. My screen, yes. I think now the screen is showing of Mega.
No, the sequences are shown. Yeah, now it's made.
Okay, okay. So here we have to go into align the sequence, edit or build alignment, create a new alignment. Just how it's giving the comments, just go like that. Okay. Are you building a DNA or protein sequence alignment? Here we are doing DNA sequence alignment. So we will just go into DNA. And then all the sequence that we had copied, let's copy the sequence in the notepad and we will paste it all here. Now we can, now we can go into alignment. Align by muscle or cluster W, anything. No. Export, we have to do export alignment in mega format, because if we don't save the file in mega format, we cannot work with it. So we will just save the file in mega format. We can just put one name, example 1. Protein coding nucleoside sequence data, it is not, so we will just put no. Now the mega sequence is saved. We can go into phylogeny, and there are a lot of variations of phylogenetic tree that we want to make. There is maximum likelihood tree, neighbor joining, minimum evolution, UPGMA tree. So depending on our characteristics, which kind of tree we want to make. For example, let's go into neighbor joining tree, and the mega file in mega 7, we always have to upload mega file. So we can just go into uploading the mega file. Okay. Phylogeny, joining tree. No. Session, no. Line 381. Okay, so in case of 381, there have been some problem. This always happens if there is some problem of spacing. Let's go into can be for new. Okay. I had saved different files. If there is some space extra, and it will show you the line, at which line it is. If you have Notepad++, you can just open Notepad++, directly go into line 381 and delete the extra space. So when we download the sequence, if we have one FASTA sequence, then enter another FASTA, then another FASTA, then another. If by chance there is one space somewhere there extra, the software cannot detect that space, because what they know the FASTA sign and they know the sequence. If there is anything other than ATGC and that FASTA, they cannot record it. So it will show some kind of errors. So you have to just open Notepad++, go into that particular number that is showing the line error. You can just go and delete the space or something like that. So if it will give you the sequence like this, and there are a lot of options to play with the sequence. We can make it balanced like this. It will also show you we can make it rectangular, straight, curved, the way we want. We can change it. We can keep it traditional in rectangular. We can make it circle. So when we have a lot of genome, we make circle kind of phylogeny. We can do that also. So we can play here with the, okay. Let's go into traditional just. It's showing here the distance also between the nodes. Now here, if we go into view, we can go to the fonts and we can change here the name of the taxon. We can put scale bar. For example, if we go into taxon name, for example, if we want to put, we can change the font and make it a little bigger also. And that's how we can change the fonts. Or We can show here the taxa name. We can show here the coverage, how much coverage it is in the view. Then we can put the branch length also here, because they are too much related, so it will show you 0.0. But if you are working with somehow distance relation, so it will show you here the node length. And to delete again, we can just go into the same in view, show or hide. Just let hide the, so it will show like this. We can also hide the scale bar if we want, so it will not show the scale bar anymore. We can basically put it like input order if we want to keep it good, but we can also keep it, so we can make the arrangement like the way we want. Everything here have one particular function, so we can just go into full screen. We can zoom one particular part. We can go into the labels, and then we can choose the color. And for example, if we want to put, we have one particular interest. For example, we want to put a mark there. And for example, we want to put a red mark. And let's select one. For example, this has been our interest. Okay. And now it will show that which has been our target that we have used in EZ taxon. So it will show that, okay, so this has been our interest. And for example, this was highest similar with another bacteria, showing 99.9% similarity, for example, or 100. You can do the same. You can go into label, choose the label, and you can put it here. So you can add it different. And to save the file, you can go to the image and save as PDF, PNG, SVG, TIFF, the file format that you want. So finally, how the file format will look, I'm showing you here. I have saved it in PDF. So that's how I make it. It's showing the distance, then it's showing which has been my query sequence, which has been the most similar to the query sequence. So you can save it in different formats. That's how to do with Mega, and it's very fast. The same thing, if we have, probably you have learned it in the last time. Now in the class of Anil Kumar, that how to do NCBI BLAST and prepare the tree. So if we go into NCBI BLAST, just what we need to do, we have to go to nucleotide. I'm just putting one example. You can just put the bacteria that you want. We can directly go into NCBI BLAST 2. So for example, here comes 16S. So here comes a Bacillus anthracis strain. We click into this. We can just download the FASTA sequence also manually if you want from NCBI. Seeing the BLAST, you see the BLAST, you go into all the accession and download it, make a notepad, and then one by one download one after another. Just make a same file that you downloaded from EZ taxon. You can do the same, just you have to be careful that there is no extra space, and make a similar kind of file. But all the sequence should be one after another in the same file. So just going to run BLAST. So here we are doing rRNA. Just let's see, select it here, rRNA. And if it's an environmental sample sequence, you can click. If it's a model, so depends upon which kind of sample you are using. Or if you have an organism, you can add an organism and just go into the BLAST. If you already know what can be the organism, so you can put there the organism also. It will take 4-5 seconds time. Probably you all have done the hands-on last time. So Here also it will show you the similar kind of results with the heats and the percentage. We can download the sequence also if we want. So if we go into graphic summary, here it shows how the blast sequences are looking one after another. Here is the description. We can basically unselect if we want. We can select. There are 100 sequences. If we want to select just 10, let's select just 10. 10. And if we go into distance tree of results, it will show you the tree, but here there is in NCBI BLAST, there are only 2 tree method. So it's also showing you the tree making yellow, which has been your query sequence. You can change it to neighbor joining also if you want. And then just go into tools and download, and here you can download in PTP format, NUIC file, the format that you want. So probably you can download in PTP format. Here you can change the taxonomic name. You can make the change like that. So you can change a lot of options, sequence ID, the way you want, and download in the same format. So this has been all that how to do when we have a sequence, how to do the phylogenetic analysis. And now I will go into RASP to show if we have a whole genome. RASP, this is the tool. If you feel any problem, just let me know. But actually, these all tools I have used yesterday and all are working fine other than the class stage. So probably in class stage, there is some error, and in case of bioinformatics tools, they make the software development or there can be some network errors. So this can show some errors, but probably in 2-3 days, again, they are making the work and then the software will start running or the tool will start running fine. So the error will not show. In case of RASP, if you create one account, it will take time. And then you can just go into the options. I'm making it a little big. So here there will be 4 options: home, your jobs, tutorials, help. You can go into tutorials. There is all the tutorials of how to do the RASP analysis. It will, the first page will always show like this. So if we go into your jobs and upload new job, I'm just showing how to upload a new job. So you have your sequence file. Just upload your sequence file, for example, here. I have already the sequences of whole genome downloaded. You can also download the whole genome or whole genome of bacteria from NCBI genome. So, or if you have done some sequencing, you have your own data set. So just upload it, use this data and go to step 2. I cannot see. It came. It's just taking a little time. I should not hurry. So here it's showing you the sequence size, number of contigs, GC content, shortest contig size, the median sequence size, N50 value, L50 value, all the values. So you can put here its bacteria, the genus, if you know, put here the genus, the species. So we can go into selecting Archaea and most bacteria and use this data and go to step 3. Fill form based on the NCBI taxonomy ID. So let's see the ID of this. Which one I chose? Layer filter USA. You put the taxonomy ID, the ID is already given in the sequence. And if you give here, so they automatically take which sequence is that, and they put here the details of the sequence too. I don't know why it's not showing the taxonomy ID. There should be two.
Aparna, you can try 1423 as a tax ID.
Just that? Any?
Yeah, just try 1423. It is a tax ID
Okay.
for Bacillus. It should work. Let's
Okay,
try.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will just put here the it's working. Thank you, Dr. Ansh. I don't know why it was not working when I was using them. So we can just use their Rust K is also a new function. So we can choose classic Rust or Rust K, customize the pipeline, we can fix it. And if we don't want to customize it, we can just go through the original settings and fix the frame shift, build metabolic model. Normally we see the metabolic model, so we can keep a yes and then finish the upload. Now this upload will take time, it will not be very fast. So you can go to view the job status. You can go into the job status and look, it has a lot of steps. So as soon as the steps will be done, it will show you green tick. So when you can just keep checking for one day also, when you open in a Rust account, if you upload a job, a mail will come to your account that one job has been submitted with the job ID. And also when the job will be finished, they will send you one mail that the job has been performed. So I can, because I had done a lot of job, we can go into the job overview and I can show you some examples over there. Look, this is, I was showing that it will show you green tick. So it's showing one after another the ticks. So it will, when all the ticks will be finished, you can just go and see it. It's not even started. So it will be in a process. It will be finished. It will show like this. So for example, let's go into any one of the option here. View details. So that's how the first pages look. When all the look, when our job was not done, it was not showing a green tick. When the job will be done, it will show some green ticks like this, how many number of features are there, possible missing genes, the information will be there. So we can go into browse annotated genome in seed viewer, and we can see the subsystem classification. Probably we all have seen this kind of images in the whole genome announcement paper. So it basically shows the subsystem features like this. We can play a lot. All the plus we can go, and we can go into the details of what are the elements, what are the specific genes. For example, if we are working with pathogenic bacteria, probably we can, Dr. Amshu can give more insight into this, but we can go into virulence, and then there should be different virulence specific genes. Interestingly, these Bacillus anthracis that I'm showing was a non-pathogenic variety, but if we go for a mycobacterium or a Bacillus anthracis like a type strain Ames, it will show you a lot of virulence associated genes here. We can go into the details of that. If we go into the features of subsystem, here showing all the genes. So probably if we change the display here complete, we can just search with the role. For example, you want to see that in an extreme environment, one bacteria for survival need to make biofilm, need to make exopolysaccharide for one of the strategy of survival. We can search here biofilm in the role. It's not showing you anything here, but let's search here exopolysaccharide. EPS, it's showing. So it's showing that it has EPSC and EPSB gene in it. So it's showing the feature that probably EPSCD operon is present in this bacteria that is producing exopolysaccharide. Presence of EPSCD operon is already earlier reported entirely in case of Streptococcus thermophilus, one thermophilic bacteria. So probably we can go into the details of the bibliography and we can understand the specific gene function. Also, it shows you here all the genomic features. You can compare it here, function-based, sequence-based. You can blast it. You can download it, the comparing that you did. So, for example, let's go into comparative tools, function-based. There are a lot of options that you can play here. So look here, you can select the one that you want. For example, we are selecting Ames select. So look, it's showing you here organism A, organism B. If you select more, it will show you here organism C. So you just have one table in front of you and it's showing you the comparison. Yes, no, like that. If we make here the entire set. The things that are common will show yes, but the things that are not common, look, one is absent in PFAB2, but one is present in another strain. So it's showing yes. So we can go into finding it and it will not show. So this kind of table, comparative table, we can see, and we can go into the respective gene of interest too. It's showing you the link. So we can play it here with the comparative genes. What we can do is, already Rust have its own data set, but if you are playing with a lot of genomes, so you can, let's go into function based, and I'm showing you here, there are some genomes that are already uploaded by Rust here. Like, look, there is already a list, but this list is not vivid and you want to upload your own bacteria. So if you go into the first, when you upload your job, you can upload all the genome of interest there, and all your genome of interest, look, it's showing private. That means I have uploaded it in my page. So you can download your particular sequence. If your genome of interest is not there in the list, you can just upload your sequences and do the comparative genomics. So that's the way we should work in Rust. After Rust, we will go into fasters if we want to see particularly a prophage sequence. It's faster.ca. This is the web page. How? So here you can, there are a lot of options. You can choose the GenBank accession number. You can paste the sequence. You can upload the file. For example, if I choose one file, so my input consists of multiple separate contigs. If your genome consists of contigs, so you click it a yes and then submit. This submission will depend upon in how much queue you are. So it will show you that you are in queue of 23 like this. Look, your submission is running here. Probably there is no queue. You are next. If there is a lot of queue, normally in the daytime, I have seen the queue is 98. You are behind 98 people. So you have just wait. I will just show you by the time that it's functioning. If we run just one example that is already there in the page of. So look, there is run an example. It's already uploaded there. So when the result will come, it will show like this. Summary, details, genome viewer. So what we can see here, that out of total that 10 probable regions are detected, prophage regions, 6 are intact prophage. 2 regions are incomplete and 2 regions are questionable. So the color is also showing. The green one is intact, the questionable scores are blue, and the incomplete prophage are less than 70. The one probable thing that can happen when we are working with contigs, that some sequences are probably not considered because of the breakage into contigs. So this is a problem to work with draft genome sequence. But when we work with complete genome, the accuracy is definitely more. So according to the score, if the score is greater than 90, so the score of faster, they show it as intact. If the score is 70 to 90, it's questionable, and less than 70 is incomplete score. So for example, if we go into show the details of, we can basically go to show of all the options, and here it also shows how much is the region length, how much total fudge proteins are detected. So we can probably make a table with the name of the fudge, the total proteins, the region length, everything. We can go into this option show, and look here, it's showing here that they have terminus, portal, head, injection, tail, tRNA present, total proteins, fudge hit proteins, and what are the fudge hits, different fudge hits is also showing here. So probably your organism, one particular bacillus species or one species, you know, for example, that this bacillus species is infected by gamma fudge, for example, and you start searching here gamma fudge, and just gamma fudge, this is not a particular bacillus species, for example, that have gamma fudge, so it's not showing. But if your species like Bacillus subtilis or Bacillus anthracis normally are infected with gamma fudge, so it will show here the gamma fudge, and that's the way you can detect. Okay, so the evolutionary with the bibliographic search, what has been the evolutionary importance of that particular fudge, so you can get here these informations. And also the details of everything is given in the end. All the properties that are showing here are given the details. What means what? So all the details are given over there. So now if we go into the summary table, if we go into the detail sheet showing like this, what is the e-value, what is the sequence, the CDS position of the entire set, the entire. If we go into genome viewer, so that's how it's showing. What are the regions? We can save it here the image. We can go into the details of the region. For example, let's go into region 1 and look here. It's showing the region 1, and here you can just download the image. You can hide sequence labels if you want. You can show annotated sequences only or show all, and you can save here the image also. In the down, all the colors are signified. For example, the pink color determines here The pink color determines here that terminus is present, integrase is present, attachment sites are present, portal proteins are present. So according to this view, we can go into the details and we can understand what are the particular phage sequences that are present over here. So this was a phage of Salmonella typhimurium and showing how many intact phages are there, how many questionable phages are there, and we can just download one by one. Let's, for example, put region 2. This is region 2. It was questionable. Region 2 was questionable, and look, the phage sequences is much incomplete compared to region 1. Region 1 was more complete. We can see here there is no presence of lysis. It's only protease, attachment site, and portal proteins, and some transposes present over here. So that's how we can click into all the regions and can look into it. Which one is complete? You can clearly see the complete has more complete sequences compared to the other. This was a incomplete one, and look how the incomplete looks. So that's how we can play with faster. I will just show you here. If you have interest, probably can go into this and if you have by chance interest on working in multiple sequence alignment with the whole genome, so you can, I will not show it here, but if you have interest, just play with this. This software is called MOF. You can download the software, and the software looks something like this. Multiple genome alignment. You can just open your alignment one by one and you can run it. Just after run, you have to sit. It will automatically compute, will take long time. If you are even working with 3, it will probably take an hour or more than that. So you just need to wait, keeping the window down, and it will show you the result. The result of MOF will look something like this. I don't know if the image is available or image is, you can see the image, but that's how the MOF image will look. One strain, then another strain, then another strain. I have done with 3. You can basically play with the colors in MOF. When the sequence is done, you can change the colors and you can play with the image. So, and you can download finally the image. So that's how MOF alignment looks. Probably you have seen it, but if you download it and later do it and you find any problem using MOF, you can just write back to me later. So that's how MOF looks. Now I will go into another tool called OATS for average nucleotide identity analysis. It's a very simple tool, OATS. Just the only thing is OATS take normally 9 to 10 hours to work. So here there is option of add genomes faster. You just upload your genome of interest. For example, let me play with 2, 3 sequences. So it will show you here the number of contigs, BP, GC percentage. You have here 3 options: original average nucleotide identity, orthologous average nucleotide identity, GGDC analysis. You can put 3. If you put 3, so the number of tests will also be more. If you put 1, so the time taken will be less. I'm just showing you when it runs how it looks, but then I will close. So this is how it looks when it's in queue, in queue, and here it's calculating, showing. So it when one is calculated, it show here complete, and then one another complete. So when all complete, probably for 3 and 3 options. Look here the matrix, how many options they will make. And heat map now is not showing any color, but when the formation of heat map will be there, depending upon the color, it will show you which particular color. I can show you here after done, how the heat map looks. So the sequence that I have uploaded now, similar kind of sequence I have worked. So that's how it basically shows after the heat map is prepared. The thing here, you can only work with up to 10 sequences, not more than that. So you can only upload 10 sequences, and 10 and 3 experiments. So it will take probably 12 hours like that, and you have to just wait. But after done, it will show the matrix like that. One thing, often when during the work, it shows error. So probably trying for the error, the reason can be anything, but you have to try every day, and one fine time it will just work. So probably 2-3 times after trying, it will showing you the image. Actually, most of the time when prepared big heat map tree, at one point probably the calculation got missed and it shows error. So again, you have to start from the scratch. So next, going to finally for pangenomics, spine and agent tool. Why we want to look into pangenomics of a microorganism? Because the pangenome let us help to look into core and accessory genome. And accessory genome is a very unique part of one bacteria. So basically, observing the accessory genome, we can look into the uniqueness of that particular organism. And also, if we are playing with one group of bacteria, one genus of particular species of bacteria with 10 organisms, so we can see what is the common core genome of all these 10 bacteria and what are the unique genomes of them. So for spine and agent, this tool, you can use other different pangenomics tool, but spine and agent is a online web-based tool that you can play with 15 sequences maximum. So you can go into spine and agent. I have already make here one example of spine and agent. So that's how spine look. You have to upload your genome here. What type of file? FASTA, GenBank, FASTA, GFF3. Just select, put your sequence name, and then go same for all. Look, it's showing here till 15. Just one by one, select them all. So that's the way. If you select all, it's showing here the different options. If you go to the core, output pangenome, yes. If you go to the core, it will give you the core sequences like this. Will take time, probably 5 to 10 minutes time, because it's working with 15 sequences, but it doesn't take normally much time. I will show you here how the spine tool shows. The spine result basically gets downloaded as a zip file, and the inside the zip file, it just shows like this, same. Now just the way it's showing here. So it's showing you here backbone, accessory, all. For all, look, there is coordinate file, there is accessory file. So one by one, genome 1, genome 2, genome 3, genome 4. If you change the genome 1, genome 2 with your particular names, so it will show you here with the names that you have selected. If you just keep genome 1, genome 2, so it will just show you like this, 1, 2 till 15. So when you have this file, if you go to agent option, it will automatically actually open you agent. So there you have the accessory sequence already. And in agent, what you can do, in agent, you can play separately. You can upload the core genome one by one. You upload your query genome sequence, and then you get the accessory. So here you can play one by one particular at a time. So if we go into class stage, look, it's showing the same. What is showing? That upload the sequence file, upload the annotation file, but the annotation file is optional. Even if you don't upload the annotation file, it will not create any problem. So if you go here, accessory genomics is element, you just upload your spine result, one accessory. Like that, you upload here 1, 2, you can change here the genome ID also. So one by one, what is the coordinate file? The coordinate file is also given over there, accessory coordinate. So you can upload one by one all. And then if you put this PNG or PDF, it will show you the image that you want. Plot sub-element divider. If you want the sub-element division, you can do that. But the final, when the entire analysis is done, it will show one zip file will be downloaded with the clustered result like this. A lot of clustered graph will show. It will be a zip file. Look how it's showing. Different beans will show here. You can just see one by one beans, the hits. So for all the 15 sequences, that's how it shows. And it will also give you here the sub-element file. So with this sub-element file Excel, you can plot it in the third option, class stage plot. So in one by one, when you are done, you can download the entire file. The entire file will be downloaded in a zip option, and you can go into that. So here in the final, to create the plot, you have to upload your sub-element CSV file and sub-element key file. So if you go into sub-element CSV from the class stage file, here is the sub-element CSV file and the sub-element key file. When the zip will be downloaded, inside the zip only these files will be there. You don't need to make anything. Inside the zip only the files will be there. So show figure legend, yes, you can change there are only a few options, but you can change the labels. You can change the ruler, the legend, the font size. You can here choose the color also the way you want. So it will show the color the way you want. You can show different colors. So if you submit, it will take a little time. So that's how finally the plot will look. So you just play with the colors or your sequence up to 15. And again, you can upload another file, another with another, and then you again make change the way you want. So you can just, until the time that you are thinking that all the fonts are well observable, you can make the zoom of you can increase the font size, and finally you can save the image the way you want in the file format that you want. Also, you can just download the PDF file. And that's the way that we can work with comparative genomics and pangenomics. For pangenomics, the accessory genome that you got, basically you can play with the accessory genome also in FASTER. If you go into FASTER and you can search for both the core genome and accessory genome are already downloaded in the spine zip and the ASCENT zip. So in both the zip, the core and the accessory that you got, play with those sequences with FASTER to search any probable fudge infection. Why I'm speaking about fudge? Because fudge give us one insight to the characteristics of evolution. So if in accessory region it's showing one fudge, that means this profudge infection has been one unique fudge infection in this bacteria in comparison to others. But if it's come in core, that means this fudge is common for all that particular genome or species, all that particular genus or species of the bacteria. So we can basically play in the same way with FASTER. I hope till this part there is no problem, or if you feel any problem, just let me know if at some part it's showing any problem. I will go to the proteins. It's for proteins, it's not Please let me know if there is any problem so I can just. Well, so if we go in, is it fine everyone? Because you are not giving any updates, I am completely unable to understand if all are running fine or not. Can someone of you please give me any inputs how it's working or if it's not working, anything? But if you can give me any inputs. Look, now because the generation of 1 is done, it's showing. In case of ANI, it will show something like this. So you can have an idea that it almost took 10-15 minutes for 3. So probably for another 6, it will take almost 1 hour for 3 sequence. So just imagine when you will have 10, the probability will also increase and how much time it can take in case of oats. So you just have to wait for working with oats.
Yeah, I have one question. So when you were like going through the phylogenetic analysis, so how do we select which is the best algorithm for our question? Like, how do you make a decision which algorithm will be most suited?
In case of Mega?
Right.
Okay, so that's basically depending upon normally in case of bacteria we go for neighbor joining, because in neighbor joining the bootstrap replicates that kind of makes it better than, for example, in case of UPGMA we are going for the unable to go explain. For example, if we are going into minimum evolution or maximum likelihood, the score is different. But in case of neighbor joining, the value of neighbor joining bootstrap replicates that let me decide. For example, if I am selecting 1000 bootstrap replicates, or we are using the bootstrap replicates value more or less, that's the way I decide that which particular algorithm I can choose. But normally what I prefer to choose is neighbor joining, because in case of bacteria, in most of the cases of 16SS, what I have seen in bibliography, that often we are using neighbor joining compared to UPGMA or maximum likelihood or minimum evolution approach.
All right. Okay, that really helps. Okay.
There is no other questions here actually in chat box. Well, so if there is no other, is anyone fine? Can someone else please let me know if all the tools are working fine or any of it is showing any error, please. No. Okay, I'm going to the part of protein. So in case of protein analysis, we can play with a lot of options, but for example, if we go into physicochemical characterization, or for understanding a protein structure and function, we need to understand, basically we can play with a lot of tools, we can play with a lot of downloadable software too. But here I will only show you, for example, to understand salt bridge or hydrogen bond, there are a lot of good softwares that we can do. But if you are just understanding the basics of bioinformatics or proteins, I will show you some of the online available tool that we can use for it. So for physicochemical characterization, there is a tool called PDB-Param. We can actually go for many other tools other than PDB-Param. So you can use compute PIMW of Swiss model. We can use other tools, different other tools also. So here, for example, we all probably have known in the earlier classes how to download a protein sequence. So we can either download the protein sequence from RCSB, we can download the protein sequence from UniProt, we can download it from NCBI protein, from the source that you want. For example, we know that in case of RCSB, it's a 4-digit code always. Let's play with a code. It can be 1HDK, 2DVY, or you can search the bacteria, your interest enzyme over here, or your interest of protein. So for example, this is a beta glucuronidase enzyme from one particular bacteria. And if we are going to the options of download files, we have here FASTA sequence PDB format. Normally for all the analysis that I will show here, all normally goes with FASTA sequence and PDB format. Also, some of the tools are fine with the PDB ID. So you can just go into the PDB ID of that particular sequence. So we can download it as FASTA sequence. We can download it as PDB format. So here there is an option called compute, and in the compute you can just put your PDB ID, or you can, if you have uploaded a FASTA sequence from NCBI, you have changed the format to a PDB format. So you can, here you can just, for example, put your PDB ID, or if you have used the protein from another sources of NCBI, you converted it to a PDB file, you can upload up a PDB file too. And look, there are 4 different options here. Identification of binding site, that where the particular substrate of this enzyme can bind, inter-residue interactions, secondary structure, and physicochemical properties. Let's play with all of it. So if we go for physicochemical properties, there comes different options. You can select the surface hydrophobicity, ionic interactions, disulfide interactions, hydrophobic interactions. If you want, you can select all actually. If you don't want, you can select some particular. And for example, let's go into submit. You can download all the results also, and it will show you here. For example, if we are looking into hydrophobic interactions of which chain with which chain, and the distance of that particular 2 amino acids, because we know that one protein, the building block of protein is amino acid, and the primary structure, one after one amino acids are joined with each other. And then in the secondary structure, it forms helical structure or sheet structure. Then intrahelical interactions become tertiary structure. 2 different tertiary structure come and join with each other and form quaternary structure. So there, how it's showing in which chain of the protein, which residue number of which amino acid, it's showing all the details. For example, if you are showing aromatic interaction, the same, the residue number, which one is the amino acid, and then the distance between which 2 amino acids. So it will show you all the details just like this. If we go into secondary structure characteristics, let's just submit it. For example, if we want coil tendency, beta sheet tendency, alpha helical tendency, for example, if you want, you can select all, it will show you all the results. And if we go into submit, so it's showing you here which is the residue, what is the frequency of this. Actually, the same thing, you can go into ProtParam tool. And in ProtParam, it also gives you physicochemical characteristics. But in this case, if you are playing with SwissProt protein, so you can put the accession number, or else you can just put your copy and paste the sequence that you have. We already downloaded the sequence. So let's copy it and paste it. Compute parameters. So it will show you here the entire amino acid composition, which amino acid is present more, which one is less, the theoretical PI, and we all know the amino acid composition basically determines the stability of the protein. How is the tendency of folding of the protein? So it basically determines a lot of structural characteristics and functional characteristics of the protein, depending upon which is present in what percentage. The total number of negatively charged amino acid residue, the positively charged amino acid residue, all the details. Wait a minute. Oh. Yes. I'm just going into how much time I have. 15 minutes more.
Yes. I mean, of course.
You have, you easily have in 20-25 minutes, Aparna, no worries.
Okay. So 20 minutes more. Okay. So I'm just checking what are the tools that I have mentioned after this. So for physicochemical characteristics, this has been the tool that I have mentioned, that PDB param you can use. Alternatively, you can use prot param. XPASI is a tool from XPASI. If we are going into primary structure analysis, so it's a tool called GPMAW Lite. The same, if we are working with NCBI or UniProt, you can put the accession number. But if you can easily search up the accession number and you can get it. So for depending upon if GPMAW allow you the PDB ID, you can put the PDB ID. But look here, you can just put your accession directly. So to put your sequence directly. So you just paste it and so it will show you here the basic sequences, the acidic, the aromatic, the cysteine, the methionine, the arginine. In the same way that earlier we were seeing in the in prot param, it will show you the same way which amino acid sequences are present over there. You can again unselect. So there is a lot of tool for primary sequence analysis that you can do. You can put the protein information, the so we can select the protein information, the amino acid composition. We can see what enzyme digestion characteristics is there. And if we do calculate anything, conversion, the screen is extremely wide for me. It's directly going into the option of I'm completely not able to see where because here we have to search manually all the proteins with color, but I'm going into option of another tool with another option that we can do the same analysis. But the same analysis you can do with prot param or with PDB param too. So for secondary structure also there was an option that I saw in PDB param, but either way we can go into the same analysis with SOPMA. It's gone. Okay. So that's how the page look, and we can put our protein sequence here. And there are a lot of options. We put 3 helix, we can put turn, coil, the options that we want to select. And if we put submit, it will take some little time. But until the time it's showing the result, I can show you the for in PDB param also do the same for tertiary structure. We can go into ESBRI salt bridge analysis. Is the ESBRI page is visible?
Yes.
Okay, so we can go into the input form, and in this case we have to it show asking about coordinates. So we have downloaded already the PDB file. We have to just go into the downloaded PDB file. More option. Add. Select it all. And there goes the atomic coordinates. All salt bridge in the structure, salt bridge of chain. If the protein consists of A chain, B chain, C chain, so you can just select the chains and just go to the option send. Basically, you can calculate salt bridge with different softwares, but using ESBRI, we can calculate it online. So that's how it will show you the rest with the residue, the distance. So now we all know that more the salt bridge distance is less, better the interaction of tertiary structure. So probably we can think that which, for example, here is arginine asparagine, again arginine asparagine, but then is lysine glutamic acid. So probably we can calculate how many arginine asparagines salt bridge diodes are present in our protein structure, and what is the average distances of that in comparison to lysine glutamic acid. So that's the way we get the entire form, and then we have to look into the distance and the different residues of the salt bridge. So that's how to work in this. If we go into another analysis of tertiary structure, Vadar. So with Vadar or this kind of tool, here also you can put the accession number if you want, or the PDB file, upload the PDB file. So you just go into the option submit to show the Ramachandran plot. Actually, there are a lot of tools for Ramachandran plot. You can go into Rampage, you can go into Procheck, there is Vadar. There are a lot of options to see Ramachandran plot. So that's how it shows the Ramachandran plot. You can play with anyone. Almost all the tools works with both the options, uploading the PDB file or uploading the PDB ID. If you are working with any other origin protein like NCBI or like UniProt, you can just exchange the FASTA file into PDB file with any converter. So that's how it will work. Okay, so the results of SOPMA for the secondary structure has came. Normally it takes 5 to 10 minutes. So that's how it's showing. Alpha helix is 25.52%. Extended strand is 24 almost %. Beta turn is 6.8. A big number of random coil is present. So we can have an idea that the protein is structurally open and functionally active because of the presence of random coil, and also it is structurally stable because of presence of high number of alpha helix. If in contrast, if the beta sheet was more in than the alpha helix, so we could have get one question of the stability of the protein. Actually, to understand the stability of the protein, initially in physicochemical characterization, when we do it from the GPMAW light or from PDB param or from other tools, it show you one value called instability index. And this instability index value, if it's more than 40, so the protein is generally hypothesized as unstable protein. If the value is less than 40, so the protein is decided as stable. So that's how initially we can have an idea. So to understand the stability of protein, we have to look into, it's like you have one magnifying glass and you are going from one to another to another. So initially you look the basic physicochemical characteristics, go into more zoom. Like when we play with microscope, we have 10x zoom, then we go into 40, then we go into 100, like that. We are going to more zoom. So the primary structure, we see that there is a good number of histidine, glycine, valine. Okay, so there is probability of high amount of alpha helix in this. Okay, we see too much proline, so probably the protein structure can be unstable. Then we come into the secondary structure analysis tool, and okay, we see in the secondary structure there is good number of alpha helix. Okay, so the protein can be stable, or relatively beta strand, the protein can be unstable. Then we go into secondary to tertiary structure, and we see in tertiary structure the Salt bridges. Okay, so there are good number of different Salt bridge diets are present, which are already reported to to be involved in protein stability. And okay, that the mean distance of the Salt bridges are very less compared to another protein of the same class. Okay, so because the mean distance is less and the number of Salt bridge diets are more in this particular protein, so we can have an idea that working with 50 different proteins, we can have an idea that this particular protein have more stability compared to the other 49 proteins. So that's the way we basically work in case of doing the analysis of proteins. Then we have to go for InterProSurf. I will close the other tools. Okay, in case of Ramachandran plot, it basically give you all the files that you want. So it show you the favorable region, the unfavorable region, all the details basically. You can go into the hydrogen bond table, the table that you want. So there it gives you the details of hydrogen bond. Actually, you can also see the hydrogen bond in PDB param. So in using a lot of tool, you can do it. There are other tools also. And you can just download it, the result in the format that you want. You can do it similarly with Rampage or Procheck, other tools too. InterProSurf, okay. Throwing an error. It's basically to understand the interacting sites of the protein surface, that you can also do the same using PDB param, but this is just an alternative of the same. But it's showing some, it came InterProSurf. Yes. So if you go into PDB complex, you can put your PDB ID, for example, 6ED2, and you submit it. You have to give your email ID over here. So it show you the accessible surface area of the protein. So it show you the number of surface atoms, buried atoms. It basically give you an idea about the nature of the protein, the polarity, the accessibility of the protein. So that's how the energy is calculated, and the amino acid residues that are found in the protein surface, that is given, that glutamic acid and glutamine and asparagine are present over there. So thinking that you can have an idea that, okay, in the protein interface, these particular proteins are present. So how the activity of the proteins can be from the bibliographic search, from understanding the protein stability. So that's a tool to understand the accessible surface area of protein. To do the validation, we can go into Qmin. In Qmin, normally it takes a little time, but you can select your coordinate file here. For example, let's select a coordinate file. Coordinate file means the PDB file. So we can just select our PDB file. And then there are three options: Qmin Disco, Qmin Brain. We can just select one by one. If you put a project name, so for example, you can then it will not be archived. You can just access it the timing that you want. So you just put the submit option. Look, it's showing with example 1, example 2, 3, 4. So here it will show you, if you can open the Qmin anytime, it will show you the tools. So it will, the job is presently queued. It will take probably time. I can show you another Qmin tool also, how the second option looks. Same, select the coordinate file. You can go into Qmin and submit it. The job is queued. So the next tool that we can go, I can close the other tools actually. So now we can go into, probably you already have earlier another class to observe the protein interaction by Dr. Ashok, and you have understand there how to do string analysis or cytoscape analysis. We can do the same for functional analysis in case of bacterial enzyme. We can go into the string database. We can search our particular protein of interest. And another thing that we can do here, validation, saves with save server. Only PDB format. So we can just go and upload one PDB format here. And you have to just put run programs. We can just put all start. These are just different way to validate the structure of the protein. So let's go into, for example, we can click the job link and save it. And if you save the job link, clicking the job link, you can open it the time that you want. You can also go into 3D viewer to see the 3D view of the protein. So here it's showing the overall quality factor of the ERAT. Let's, for example, go into It will take a little time, will not be so fast. Just have to wait a little. We can go into the 3D viewer also. So we can select the stick model, we can select lines, we can select surface over here. And if we want, we can spin it to view it. So we can just make the way that we want to see the protein, how it looks. We can deselect the surface, we can stop the spin, and we can save the images of the protein. So that's how we can play with shapes to see the 3D view of the protein too. Okay, so it came here, ERAD. So here it's showing the ERAD value. The ERAD value is 94.683. It's not there, done yet. Proof is also not done yet. What check is neither to ProCheck. Okay. So in case of ProCheck, it's showing that out of 9 evaluation, there have been 3 errors. So we have to see what has been the errors, and all will ultimately give you some values, some what check value, some proof value, some verify 3D value, and determining of how many of it passed the validation tools, you can understand that the structural quality of the protein. So also, if you want, you can download the image and save it, or you can save it as PDF. Well, so the QMIN result have come. That's how. This is a QMIN 4, so you can download the images also. It's showing the QMIN 4 value 0.29. Then that's the QMIN local quality estimate. It's showing the global score at 0.95. And look, it's how it's showing that more the colored, the color is becoming more blue. So we can, if the value will be like 0.1, so here the color of the protein will also change, and depending upon the score, we can, okay, it's more near to the 0, so the structure of the protein is better. We can get that kind of idea from it too. So we can do the QMIN DISCO by same way, and we with the details of QMIN Z-score, we can have the idea of the stability of the protein. It's not yet done though, it's in queue. So we have to go into string. Probably you all have done string already, but I will just show you, maybe just go for one example, amylase. And let's select here. You can just go for the bacteria that you want. If it's not available, so it will show you that it's not available. So there are a lot. We can probably click this. And then it's showing you the interaction. If you want, you can go for more, and you can see more added interactions. You can go for more, see the more interacting proteins. So here it's showing you what kind of protein interactions are predicted, gene neighborhood, gene fusion, or gene co-occurrence. What the color node is your query protein, and the other nodes are the different other nodes. And also look, it's showing what is the specific input protein details and what are the different other proteins. So for example, one protein is that is making interaction with is a glucose specific subunit. Another is an extracellular solute binding protein family. So from the details of the protein, you can go and check into the bibliography and understand what kind of interaction it's making. You can just go into export and can save the image the way you want. You can play with the settings too, the way you want to see full network or not. You can select the way that you want. There are different analyses over here, so you can select the analysis that you want. So expected number of ages, the number of nodes, the details are showing. You can do K-mean clustering, MCL clustering, different that you want. So you can just go for different options in case of string. There is already probably you have that worked with TMHMM tool from Dr. Anil Kumar's lecture for transmembrane helix prediction. You can do the same here in Phobias. And that's how it's showing that it's a non-cytoplasmic protein. If it's cytoplasmic, it will show you cytoplasmic. If it's transmembrane, it will show you transmembrane. So you can play in the same way with Phobias to understand the membrane topology of the protein. Okay, so there is another tool called InterProSurf or InterProScan. For functional analysis of the protein. So you can just paste your sequence and search. Will take some time. It will just show you some status like this and will take some little time to show you the result. It's still on queue and not has been done yet. The saves. Okay, so here how the saved result, we can go look the verified 3D structure, it's showing pass. The average 3D 1D score is 0.2. So 94.8% of the residues have passed, which is a good result. So to see the detailed result, we can go to see into full result. For all, we can just go for full result. Normally look how much it's showing, also how much time it taken. So normally it takes some time. Cannot make high hurry with this. We have to just wait when it will come. It's taking time. So this is also searching in case of InterProScan. Let's go into another one for motif identification. It is called Meme Suite. In Meme Suite, we can do it's basically a motif-based sequence analysis tool, and there are a lot of tools. Meme, Centrimo, Fimo, Mask. You can just go and look into everything into this. If we just go for motif discovery, simple Meme. So
Monday.
So you can just select here classic mode. You can just select here DNA, RNA or protein. Upload your sequence. How many motifs you want to find, you can just make it more and just go for primary sequences. It's showing some errors definitely. How it's showing RNA, I don't know how it is RNA, it's a protein. Protein. Primary sequences. well, I'm solving this problem later. It's showing definitely some error. Okay, so the result of the interpro scan has came, and it's showing what type of family of protein it is. It's a glycoside hydrolase family protein, and it's showing that it is related to carbohydrate metabolism process, and the molecular function is hydrolase activity, which is hydrolyzing O-glucosyl compounds. So from there, we can have an entire idea of what family, what particular function the protein is doing. So that's the thing that we can get from, okay, the SABES result has come. It's showing the what check value. They are showing the proof value. Here also in proof, it show the Z score. So that we have already seen in QMIN. So we can save all the data in PDF format, the way that we want. And that's the way we can go into, this is the verify 3DB graph, and we can just save all the pages the way that we want in PDF. And also if we save the job link here, so in the control panel, it will always show you the job link. So we can just click into the job link and we can save the job link. I will be just probably done in few more minutes. About identification of binding site, I have already shown you in PDB param, you can identify the binding site. But other than that, you can also find the binding site in Sulfinator. Genome JP. Here also we can go for the we can go for different ligand analysis, or their similarity search, or sequence motif search, multiple alignment, everything. So we can put our sequence FASTA here. In some file, we have to work with coordinates, in some with FASTA. We can also upload the file. And then it's showing what are the particular motifs present over there. So it's showing that the number of found motifs are 4. And what are the PFAM of the proteins, it's also showing. The description of the proteins are also showing with the independent E value. So from genome JP also, if MEME is not functioning, we can work the similar with genome JP. The other tools are also given over there, CDV, Seq2i logo with different tools. And for identification of binding site, we can play with one tool called Sulfinator. I'll just finish in 5 more minutes. Here is Sulfinator from Expasy. So here is the resource website. We can put our protein in FASTA format, or also if we are working with UniProt sequences, we can just put the accession directly. So it's showing that Sulfinator processed it, and there has been the position of the binding site, and with the sequences it is showing you. So Sulfinator tyrosines detected 2 out of 29. So basically it's detect you the tyrosine sites in the position. So that also with Sulfinator you can do. I think I have talked about all the tools that I have given over there. You can, for the Ramachandran plot, you can also go for ZLab. It also helps you to understand Ramachandran plot other than Vadar or Rampage or Procheck. Also mol probity probably I didn't show, but I am showing you mol probity too. Here also you can put the PDB code, for example. When finished, so basically the job has begun and it will continue to work until the time it's working. It will also give you Ramachandran plot only. The format of the presentation are different, and you can select the things that you want. If we go for, so it's giving you just a different version of the Ramachandran plot, and it's showing you how much are the preferable regions, how much are in the other regions, how much are the questionable. There is no questionable regions in it. So you can understand Ramachandran plot using different tools. I guess I am finished with all the options. And so any questions if you want to ask, please ask some questions if you want, and I'm basically done.
Great, Aparna. So it was a lot of tools and very informative, lot of tools and when to use. I know I would be waiting for some more people to ask some questions.
Actually, I just want to say one thing, that if, for example, you put a sequence, you didn't put the FASTA chart, copied and pasted, and it's showing an error, probably it need to put a FASTA sequence. Or for example, it's showing an error with the FASTA, just delete the FASTA side and put only the amino acid code, and it can show you the result. If there is some non-amino acid code by chance for some typing error you inserted, it can show you the error. So just check the entire amino acid sequence one and then check another time. So it's just like this. If it's not working, just go for another tool or another tool.
I have a question if nobody has a question. Yeah, in the Watts check, you have shown that UCWA, there was in the verification, if you can go to that screen, if it's possible. I'm not sure if still that is open for you.
I closed it.
Okay,
but
sorry.
Can you please ask me the question
Sure.
that you were asking?
Yes. Sure. Actually, in one of the validity check, the side chains were the 3 chains were giving the problems. So does it mean that in the another check, it showed 3 errors? So these errors are related to the side chains, or would it be something completely different?
No, that can be related, because actually I have many times seen that if the Procheck score is showing not showing green and it's showing some other colors, maybe in the 3D1D score the value doesn't pass. So all the structural validation are related to one with another, so definitely it can be interrelated.
Okay, and another one is about the last one, the tool name I forgot, which was showing mostly about the tyrosines. So why actually the tyrosines are more important to show information about it there?
Because sulfation of any sign, any protein, the sulfation site, that gives an idea of the accessibility of the protein, the reactivity of the protein. So most of the time when we are trying to think about the protein's reactivity with the surface, we want to search the sulfation site, and with this we can readily detect the sulfation site at which position. So sulfation basically gives an idea about the protein's accessibility. So that's why, but where there are entire surface accessibility and the amino acids present in the surface area, the intersurface zone. I have given all other tools also. So I was just wanted to pile up different tools in the presentation so that we can play with different views of the protein. Definitely there are a lot of tools in protein analysis, structural and functional, but it was just few of them. But we can play with a lot of the tools to get the final information.
Okay. Another sub question, sorry. So yeah, I mean, does it mean, I mean, of course, in bacterial bioinformatics, does this tyrosine play a bit major role? Would it be possible in that way? Or like say in any other tool would be more major role for the bacterial bioinformatics?
No, actually sulfation is important for any proteins function. So it's nothing like only for bacteria. Also, all the tools that I have told, if people are working in plant protein or animal protein, most of it will function. Most of it will function. So I'm just giving an example of microbial bioinformatics because I am a person working on microbiology and my protein of interest are the industrially important proteins. But people working in any field can work with these tools. The tools are.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the comprehensive.
I just
tools.
want to finish with one thing. Probably I don't know why no one is asking any question. Either I am telling very bad, people are not getting interest, or there are another thing that I understand. When the people are on the opposite side, they always have a fear. Should I ask a question, or maybe my question is not so valid? Why should I ask? People will think something. But just let me tell you that you should feel confident always to ask questions. And if you ask questions, maybe the doubt will be clear, or maybe I am saying something wrong. And if you give me some information, I can increase, or maybe I can update my knowledge. So just feel free to ask question always. Just I will finish with one thing. Yesterday, when I was checking through the bioinformatics in 2021, something like this, a very beautiful sentence I got in internet, that's from Barbaham Institute of Cambridge. And I super like this: bioinformatics turns something unfathomable into something that is visible. So in this time of 2021, in 20th century, 21st century, big data changes the way we think. Big data changes the way how we work. So riding in this big data is often challenging. There is a lot of things to do, and probably in last 10-12 days with a lot of big professors, we have learned a lot of new things. Some are there in our mind, some are not. But if we go to the YouTube tools, many times we go into the practice, we can definitely learn. It's challenging, but it's definitely not impossible. So if we want it, we can do it. And I'm thankful to all of you for the opportunity.
Nicely said, Aparna. Thanks for all the tools, comprehensive analysis of tools, or let's say his demonstration of tools. So actually we move to the next talk. Before that, a couple of minutes break, I would say. So, I mean, I'm not sure, Anshu, is it okay, 2 minutes break, or do you want, how is it?
No, I'm perfectly fine. I think the schedule says 7 o'clock, and yes. I think it's still 1 minute away, so we should wait.
No, I think people had a lot of input into their minds. Probably, I think at least they're eligible for at least 3 minutes break, and I will get that time. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think we should really give a round of applause to Dr. Aparna Banerjee. She's really covered an immense amount of resources which the participants can use, and it is not just for them. I learned a lot of new things myself. So yeah, very good.
Yes, wonderful. I would completely agree. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So we will have a 3-minute break, and then we join back. I will stop the recording and to start again.